Hey guys, so trade number 2 done and dusted, all complete. Just to recap, trade number 2 was for the mini Super Nintendo, which includes inbuilt games, plus 2 Michael Jordan limited edition bronze vinyl pops. Now, that's basically 2 Michael Jordan figurines. If you follow my Instagram, if you follow my LinkedIn, then you would have seen the posts that I've posted up of the photos of those 3 items. It comes to about a value of about between $200 and $300, simply because the Michael Jordan ones are hard to price. They've been sold out for a while, and because it is a limited edition version of the figurines, they normally go for retail of around $50, but I believe that the market value out there is anywhere up to about $100 to $120 each. So we're talking about a combination of around anywhere between $200 to $300 as the 2 Michael Jordans, plus a Super Nintendo that's got inbuilt games that you can pick up brand new for about $120 from Big W. So the value of that is about $200 to $300 as a package. Now, the trade itself, managed to swap that for a box of 20 nice smelling diffusers with my brother-in-law. They run a side diffuser business. It's kind of like smell oils inside a bottle, where you have it's almost like an incense stick coming out of the top, and what that does is it draws the smells into the stick, and then it makes the room that you're in quite pleasant smelling. The reason people buy it is similar to candles. It makes the place nice and smells very nice. And there were a box of them that my brother-in-law had to make over the weekend, and he created a mix of different flavors or smells for me so that I could then on-trade that. Now, the value of those, they could go from anywhere from $15 all the way to $50 retail. He sells his ones for about $20, and he's been doing quite well. He's been selling them online, selling them in the markets, and he's got some sizable orders out there to some businesses and some people who buy them just for their homes. Because it's my brother-in-law, I've got quite a few going around in my house, and it is quite pleasant smelling, especially if it's in small confined spaces. And what it does is it draws out the smells from the bottle. It's the oils that create the smell, and what differentiates his product to some of the retail ones is he was telling me that some of the retail ones use alcohol, and that's supposed to draw out the smells quicker. Excuse me, but what happens there is once you use alcohol, it evaporates very quickly. However, he's decided to opt for ingredients that don't require alcohol, which should see it last. A bottle should last about 3 to 6 months, which is fantastic. I put out a poll earlier I think it was earlier last week on LinkedIn, just trying to get a gauge of which one I should take. There were a couple of offers there. One was for a Muhammad Ali framed picture. I googled that one, and the retail price for that one was about $50. However, if I didn't Google it, it could have a Muhammad Ali framed picture could be worth anything, hundreds of dollars, if I didn't happen to Google it. But I did, and I realized that you could actually pick it up for fairly cheap. So that was one option. The other option was some tattoo vouchers from a friend of mine who runs and owns a tattoo shop out in Brunswick, and it was for $200 worth of tattoos. Now, because predominantly this game or this experiment is being posted on LinkedIn, I assume that the clientele for the tattoos weren't quite there. And I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu on the side, and a lot of my teammates actually have a hell of a lot of tattoos, actually. And so I was thinking maybe there could be something there for a trade. And then finally it was this box of 20 diffusers, which comes to about anywhere between $400 to $500 if you're going to buy them retail. And so I put out the post asking for a vote and it overwhelmingly came back with the box of diffusers. Now, before I accepted the trade, I had a bit of a brainstorm, and I did think about what was going on with the box of diffusers and who would like a box of diffusers, and it seemed to be able to reach out to a much broader audience. And then the other side was the $200 tattoo vouchers, which was very niche. Now, after doing a bit of research into how the previous trade happened for the red paperclip out in Canada in 2007, I did notice that the trades that Kyle went through, when it got very niche, he actually got more out of the trades. And I was very curious to figure out. I was kind of grasping between, do I take a $200 voucher, or do I try to negotiate that one a little bit higher? So maybe $300 I could have pushed for a tattoo voucher, or do I take something that's worth a bit more retail, so about $400 to $500 in diffusers, but it reaches out to a much broader audience. The poll came back with go for the diffusers, the broader audience. But for some reason, I was thinking if I do go niche, the tattoo vouchers are worth something to a much more focused group of people, and it may have more value in getting a tattoo than people wanting a diffuser. Now, I speak to people about diffusers, and some people come back and said, well, what is that? Which kind of surprises me, because yes, it does touch on a more broader audience, but at the same time, the level of desire for that product, so the demand for it isn't very high. Everybody everybody would like a nice smelling small space, an office or a bathroom or a corridor, but when people have to fork out money for it, or it's not something that's top of mind. However, if someone has already got a couple of tattoos and have been thinking for about 6 to 9 months to get their next tattoo, then that thinking process has already driven up their desire to get a tattoo. So it might have actually had a bit more of a demand, which could have created a better next trade. However, in saying that, because I couldn't take both, I decided to go for what was voted for, in which this case it was the diffusers, and I had to live with that, and yeah, so that's the one I've taken. Now, my brother-in-law had to take some time to get the diffuser sorted, which was fine. And after a bit of asking around and trying to create the trades for the next one, for the diffusers, I quickly realized that I've kind of got myself stuck in a bit of a rabbit hole. The diffusers, the demand isn't quite there. I did map out some high level blue sky. What could I do with these diffusers? Who would want them? And in that brainstorming session, I kind of came up with hotels, restaurants, hospitalities, even physios, health clinics, anywhere that kind of deals with a customer experience, with smells being important as part of that. So as soon as the trade was accepted, I verbally accepted it from my brother-in-law, and he verbally gave me the okay that he would deliver, and I just assumed it would be done. I quickly went on to LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook to advertise the diffusers. Now, once I advertised the diffusers, there was very little coming back in terms of what could be done with it. And after some blue sky thinking, I came up with, okay, maybe I'll go on LinkedIn and I'll tag some of the major hotel chains that I've seen. So Hilton, Carlton, Ritz-Carlton, Crown, a few of the ones that operate in Melbourne. And I was hoping to get a bit of a bit of traction on LinkedIn. But that didn't turn out to be, so I'm kind of stuck as to what to do with these diffusers. Now, I did pick up the diffusers the other night from my brother-in-law, and it's a big box, so it's 20, and I'm willing to deliver, and I'm willing to do the trade in person. But yeah, at the moment it's kind of stored, but nonetheless I'll keep pushing. So let's talk about some of the strategies behind what I could do. With the diffusers, I have put out a note out there to say that the first stage is to try to do organic marketing. What organic marketing is just putting out posts on LinkedIn that are free, putting out posts on Facebook, on Instagram, and hopefully someone will be interested and drop me a message or want to trade. The next phase of this is actually to go out there and start to either pay for advertising or to initially go to the Facebook marketplace or Gumtree and to post up free ads. Now, the issue I come across there is with these trades, I'm actually looking for non-cash payments. So I'm trying to trade something for something. If I put it up on Facebook Marketplace or if I put it on Gumtree, it kind of still can fulfill that. However, the people I'm dealing with is the general public who have no idea about this experiment, and it may draw some kind of odd things or odd trades that are coming out. I've heard a lot of scams going through Facebook Marketplace, so I have to be aware of those, but it's kind of opening up to the unknown, so to speak. And finally, like I mentioned before, I could start posting targeted Facebook or targeted Instagram ads. That is definitely an option I want to explore, especially as these trades get to a higher value, because I am looking to test how successful targeted adverts are via Facebook and Instagram. I've heard a lot about social media advertising. I am willing to put down a little bit of money to experiment with that. And so that will be interesting when it gets there. I don't want to pull that trigger too soon because it will cost me a bit of money. But at the same time, if nothing moves here, then that may be something I'll have to explore as well. Some other things I've kind of looked at also include looking at dividing up the diffusers. So instead of having it as a combination of 20 mixed diffusers, some people might be interested in, say, a couple, so 2 or 3 diffusers, or even up to maybe 5 diffusers, and that way I can have 4 trades going concurrently. Now, what that would mean was there'll be a hell of a lot of work from my end to try to track where the trades are going and who wants what, and to have them running concurrently. But that's an option that I'm willing to explore, simply because the more trades I do, or the more streams, if I split them into, let's say I have 5 in a combo, then that would mean that there's the option for 4 trades. Now, if I split them into streams, then there will be 4 streams of trading, which might actually come out with some very interesting trades. Who knows? So that's something else I'm thinking about, is breaking up the total of 20. And then finally, also reaching out directly to businesses. So somebody I reached out to recently at Bank of Melbourne. At the Bank of Melbourne, I mentioned to this friend of mine that is it possible to reach out to your PR area or your marketing area to see if the Bank of Melbourne have something to trade. I know they're in sponsorships with a lot of other corporates, so maybe there's a few tickets to some event, or they might have sponsored some beer and wine festival or something, and they might have a case or a couple of cases of alcohol lying around. And the branding there would be the Bank of Melbourne supporting a Melbourne-based experiment that supports Melbourne-based businesses. So the brand alignment there would be quite strong. The reason I came up with that is because I remember and recall some of the advertising during the Australian Open. And they did mention a lot about supporting Melbourne-based businesses. And I thought, yeah, this might be an angle. If I pitch it right and I speak to the right people, there might be something there. So who knows? Wait and see for that one. But I am thinking kind of blue sky at the moment, and I am starting to think about what small businesses I can reach out to, and then slowly trying to get in touch with the right people to see if there's any interest in these diffusers. But that's it for trade number 2. And yeah, hopefully the next time I see you, or the next time you hear me, it will be trade number 3. All right, everyone, take care, and I'll hopefully keep you updated shortly.